I'm Jordan. This is Tyson. Go ahead and start by where you went and what year.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Tyson Shulman. If anybody's watching this that went to the program during my times may remember me. I went to Spring Creek Lodge, and I also went to High Impact, but I started Spring Creek Lodge at the beginning of the year 2000. In fact, on Halloween night. So not the beginning of 2000, kind of the end of 2000, actually. And then I was in Spring Creek Lodge for a little less than a year before I was sent to High Impact. And then after High Impact was shut down, I was sent back to Spring Creek Lodge for a few more months until my parents decided, they were able to come see me for the first time on a PC weekend, and they decided to pull me. So.
Okay. And how long were you there in total at Spring Creek?
At Spring Creek total, altogether in the programs, I was gone for, let's see when I got back. About 18 months.
Okay. I was there 22 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Walk us through. Did you get transported?
Yeah. I got transported to Spring Creek Lodge and also from Spring Creek Lodge to High Impact and back from High Impact.
Okay. Run us through that. How was that?
So I was 16 years old. I'm just going to start off with a little bit of my background before I went to the program.
Okay.
I don't think I was too much trouble, to be honest. I think I was pretty much like every other high schooler that, to be honest, I didn't care more. I cared more about popularity than my grades, got to be honest. I played a lot of sports and then kind of stopped caring as much about sports once, girls get involved, and just being cool in high school was important to me for some reason, regrettably. And, I'd sneak out every now and then. I smoked cigarettes, not like a pack a day like I do now. Smoked pot a few times. That's how I got caught. Is I ended up smoking pot one night, and my parents, always said, if you're ever in trouble, if you do something bad, you can always call us. We'll take care of you. You won't get in that much trouble. I'd rather be safe. And so one night I was super high. And the funny thing is, I got high at my older sister's house, who moved out early, not long before that. And I tried driving home, and I couldn't drive. So I called my parents and said, hey, can you guys come pick me up? And they came and got me. But anyways, yeah, I like I said, and my grades were starting to slip. I wasn't getting too bad grades, but I was starting to get, some C's. I did have one D, but anyways, it wasn't good enough for my parents. And they had threatened me with the Army and Navy Academy, and even took me on a visit there. It's in San Diego. It's looks like a blast compared to what I ended up going to, but I was like, no, I swear I'll do better. I don't want to go there. And then I came back home. Things kind of stayed the same. And then somehow they heard about W.W.A.S.P from a friend's mom of mine who didn't even send her kid there. And the brochure looked cool. And I guess they decided, let's get them over there. And the way they decided to do it was, they heard about escorts. They hired some escorts. They came in on Halloween night at like 3:00 in the morning. And I wasn't sleeping in my room. And it was weird because my parents asked me to sleep downstairs in one of the guest bedrooms. And I didn't really know why, but I just did it. And that was why, because it was easy I couldn't escape from there. I could escape from my room because my room was the only room upstairs, and I had multiple exits. But yeah, so that's how it all started. They came in, wake you up, one really big giant white guy, one really fast Mexican guy, take me in the bathroom and let me use the restroom, throw me the clothes that they want me to wear on, then put cuffs on me, and walk me out to the car. Didn't get to see my parents, say bye, nothing. And off we were to the San Diego airport to fly to Montana. I think we flew to Salt Lake City, to be honest, and then drove from Salt Lake to Montana.
Okay. And how about your first day at Spring Creek, or like when you first got there, man? What did you think? Walk us through that. It was
like midnight when I got there. So like maybe like 10, 11. It could have been a little before midnight. It was dark. It was snowing. It was winter time. Is like I said, Halloween. So it was like starting to snow out there. And I'm from Southern California, just so everybody knows, Orange County. We don't get snow there, so that was a shock to me.
When they get snow, it's no joke. When they get snow.
Yeah, like, it's not like when I go on vacation to Big Bear or something like that. It's a long-term thing. Anyways, we pull up, and at this time, there were, you know, they had the 4 main cabins on the right-hand side. They had the trailer where, you know,
Staff Central.
That I don't they didn't really have a name for it at that time, at least that I knew of. But there was a big guy that worked there at night times. They called him Pumpkin because he always wore this big orange jacket. But he kind of took me to the trailer. They explained to me what's going on. I think at the time, can't remember the exact stuff I met that night, but either way, they sent me to my cabin. And originally,
what family were you in?
Originally they had me set up to go into Respect family.
Okay.
And I got into the Respect cabin, and the kid that was supposed to move out of there and go up to, he was supposed to either move to a different family or move into upper levels. He refused to leave and get out of his bed. So they were like, well, there's an open bed over in Courage family, which was right next door. And they put me in Courage family. And the crappiest part about that was I actually had a friend from my hometown that I didn't know was in Spring Creek Lodge that was in Quest family. So
okay.
when he saw me in there, he woke up and they're like, there's a new guy in here. And he's like, oh my God, is that you, Tyson? I was like, Jeremy, what's up, bro? Like, he's like, oh, what'd you do, man? You shouldn't be here. And I was just like, at that time, I think he was like maybe level 2, max level 3 at that point. But either way, they put me in the family next to his, and I didn't know anybody in there. They made me shower off, they deloused me or whatever. Went through all my luggage and crap, and they didn't really explain too much to me. They said that tomorrow they'll have somebody do that, and they put me. They told me where my bunk was, and then we'd go over things the next morning. So
okay. And how long after you got there until things really like fully sunk in and you realized like the actual gravity of the situation?
Oh, it was within a couple days. I mean, like I said, I had seen what it was like at the Army and Navy Academy, and this already compared to it. You know, waking up in the morning, getting in line,
Head count. Yep.
Yeah, doing the head count thing, and just the showers, the bathrooms, having to ask to cross to go into the bathrooms. It's like I can't just go to the bathroom when I want to go to the bathroom. That type of stuff. It set in pretty quick to me, honestly.
Okay.
Not how bad it could be, but it already was like, okay, what the crap? Sorry, hold on. Let me
Yep.
Sorry, I got a puppy.
It's all good, man. It happens. Puppies are bundles of love, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. But so and it ends up being that my friend Jeremy wasn't the only one in that family in there. Actually, I realized it was Ed Wilson and Jeremy Frink. They were both in the Respect family when I got, Quest family when I got there. So they were we're all from the same hometown, and they were allowed in the same family because I think they kept it a secret that they knew each other.
Well, yeah, they don't like because of quote unquote clicking up. They don't want people from hometowns and stuff because you're in your image or whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, they got away with it. They didn't say anything. They were smart, and I wouldn't have said anything either. If they would have kept me in Quest family, I would have been cool. But unfortunately, that didn't work out that way. And I ended up not liking Quest family anyways. I liked Respect family. I mean, Courage family. We eventually had a really cool family father. But yeah, so.
Okay. How about the seminars? Like, did you go through any of the seminars? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so I went through my first one. Obviously I went to Discovery, did not make it through on the first cut.
Was Discovery the first one they had you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
It went for us at the time, it went Discovery, Focus, Accountability, and then so on from there. But I didn't make it through the first Discovery. I wasn't into beating the ground with a towel and all the crap that they were into. And like I said, I know a lot of kids had issues that were there, and they kept on trying to tell me issues that I had that I just didn't have. You know, I didn't really think my relationship was that bad with my parents. I kind of was, I was spoiled. I was never molested. I didn't drink alcohol that much. I didn't really feel like I had the problems that other people had. And I was honest. I told them this is what I did, but to them, they were like, okay, when you're ready to get honest with yourself, then we'll take you back in. It's like, what do you want me to tell you? Like, I was slamming heroin. Like, not everybody's the same, like.
Yeah.
So I didn't graduate the first Discovery. I was coached on how to graduate after, because it was like the first week or two that I was there that I went.
So they were trying to like push you through type thing?
Yeah, so
Okay.
they were trying to get me to go, and I was like, I don't care about graduating. And then I found out you can't really go anywhere until you do those seminars. So the
Or
second,
progress, or even
yeah,
progress.
yeah, I couldn't progress, and that's why I knew I wanted to do. Even though I told myself I'm not going to graduate this, but I'm not going to be here for as long as I tell them I'm going to be here. I had the thought in my head for the first 9 months that I was there that my parents were going to pull me. Literally every week it was like, oh, dude, my parents are going to pull me. My parents are going to pull me. Like everybody, it became a joke of the family. Like, oh yeah, Tyson's getting pulled, right? And even though I had gotten my commitment letter, from my parents and all that crap, I just didn't believe it. I didn't. My mom always said I can't sleep when you're not at home. On the nights I'd run away and go out and hang out with friends. I figured if she can't sleep when I'm not home, then there's no way she can be able to keep me away from the house without. Either way, graduated the second discovery with ease. Fake it till you make it type crap. Focus was easy. First time graduated that, but I never I didn't graduate accountability until I got back from high impact. So
Okay.
I went to like 9 or 10 accountabilities without graduating.
Okay.
But none of the what are they called, the people that run the meeting, like
Facilitators.
like David Gilcrease hated me.
Yeah.
Jan hated me. They all hated me. I eventually went through all of them a couple times, but they just didn't like me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, did you spend any time in study hall, worksheets or intervention with the Hobbit?
I spent a majority of my program in worksheets and special needs, or the Hobbit.
Okay. Walk us through that. Tell us your experience of that.
Yeah. So I was really over following the rules. I just was pretty much over doing what anybody told me to do. So I'd get constant tattoos,
Staff and stuff.
Yeah, and I was that cool guy. I was like, yeah, staff that shit. I don't give a shit. Put me in the office, whatever. It's very rarely I'd get refusals, cat threes, and then but I was fine with doing my time in worksheets. I didn't really care. I just I'd sit there unless it was like a douchebag, what are they called? Upper
Junior
level
staff.
Junior staff that were running it. They were like, oh, let's make these guys suffer. Then other than that, I was fine with it. I didn't care about the food. But then there was a lot of times when I'd take it a little bit too far. I didn't ever get violent or anything like that, but I just refused to do anything, and they just put me in the Hobbit. And I spent a lot of time in the Hobbit, but I also liked it. I didn't have to do anything. I could sleep all freaking day. I didn't care about how hard, if no mattresses. I didn't care about any of that kind of crap. And I was okay with the food. I mean, I was like, I didn't like the food. I didn't like the kidney bean burritos. I didn't like any of that kind of crap. But it was easier to me than dealing with other upper levels and the staff. I just didn't like to listen to anybody. And plus, most of the time, I had some pretty cool staff running the Hobbit. There's this big guy named Jason. When he watched at night, he'd let me come out, play cards with him, listen to music. Every now and then, he'd bring me some food that he had.
That's nice.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Nice.
Other than using the porta potty for the restroom and stuff like that, you got to go back to your cabin once every 3 days to shower up and stuff when your family was out of the cabins. But I spent a lot of my time there. Not as much as a lot. There was a group, I'd say 3 to 5 other guys that spent a considerable amount more time than me. They were regulars there. They were known throughout the facility.
That was me my first year.
When you were there,
they were about to send me to Jamaica. I was so bad.
Yeah, see,
I'm not trying to beg or anything, but it's just straight facts that I was about to get sent to Jamaica, and that's why I said, okay, I think I want to, maybe just do what you say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you heard the stories about Jamaica. Yeah, so, and I just never thought my parents would send me anywhere like that. Like, I was never threatened with Jamaica or even high impact until it was last minute. My family representative, John Riddle, just finally was like, well, so are you gonna work this program or not, man? Like, this is your options here. And he ended up manipulating my parents into sending me to high impact, telling them this is a very short-term program. He said, like, more like a boot camp. They'll whip him into shape and he'll come back here and he'll, flying colors, he'll do great.
So walk us through that transition. Like what, how you just kind of went over a little bit of it, how he convinced your parents to have you go to High Impact, but walk us through that, like getting transported there and what happened at High Impact, all that.
Yeah. So first of all, I did have some really great times at Spring Creek Lodge. They were not when we were following rules or doing anything like that. I actually had a family representative. For anybody that's there during my time, his name was JJ. His dad worked at the facility too.
JJ Blood?
What's that? I don't remember his last name, to be honest with you. He was skinny, blonde hair, but he ended up becoming Courage family father for a little while. And me and my friend that was in Courage, Nick Eklund, and my other friend James Lothian, we were like the three buds in that family. There's others too, but he would let us at nighttime because our nighttime staff was just, his name was Tyson too. He was just this big fat nerd that he was cool. He's really nice, but he just wanted to be popular and wanted to be cool. Yeah. And he would let us go back into JJ's room near the bathrooms. We were on the second story, and we were allowed to smoke cigarettes. He let us smoke. He'd give us cigarettes. We'd smoke cigarettes out there. So I did a lot of things that people in the program never got to do.
Yeah, you got hella lucky, bro.
Yeah, well, that was JJ for you, man. He was a super cool. He eventually lost his job, but yeah, so that was pretty cool. But and even one night, we had talked about escaping for a long time, me and those two friends I was talking about, Nick Eklund and James Lothian, and we manipulated our night staff for months into finally getting him to agree to let us borrow his car. And we told him, we're just going to borrow your car. We're just going to leave for like a few hours, go to a local diner, go somewhere and grab some food outside of here, maybe try and find a girl. And we knew we were never coming back, but he eventually gave us the keys to his car. I pushed out walking down the stairs, and I went back in. We had already made our beds up, make it look like somebody was sleeping there, because they have somebody that comes in and checks a couple times a night. Yeah, so they ended up going. They got it.
How did you guys get out? How did you guys get out of the cabin?
He let us out. So he opened the door.
Okay.
He let us out. I stayed in. They snuck across the grass down to his car, pulled out, and just drove off.
So did they make it?
They made it, man. They made it. They ended up running out of gas, and then some girls whose dad was actually a Supreme Court judge. They had a lake house cabin on I think it was like Whitehead Lake or some lake that was out there. And the girls picked them up. They went back to the cabin with the girls. They drank alcohol. They went jet skiing. They had a blast. But where they screwed up is they made phone calls home to their family and friends, and they alerted the staff there. And eventually, staff on helicopter found out where, flew into where they were at, the cabin, and brought them back.
Dude, that would have been a fucking shitty day, dude.
It was a shitty day it was actually a shitty day for the people on the facility, because we were locked down and they kind of knew something was up, but they had a blast and they didn't get in any trouble for it. In fact, because Cameron and Chafin were so worried about getting sued by their families, they rewarded them. They ended up Cameron brought him back to his house. They got to eat all kinds of food. They gave our family a pizza party, Courage family a pizza party for everybody keeping their mouth shut, kind of thing.
Wow.
They got in no trouble for it at all. And eventually they both got pulled from the program. Unfortunately, Nick Eklund passed away only a couple years after the program. Got in a car accident with a few of his friends, and they all passed away. I went to his funeral in Fresno. And James Lothian's he is from Montana. He's from Billings, Montana. Hung out with him a few times, but he kind of went somewhere else. I don't know what happened to him.
Oh, so he kind of knew the lay of the land already.
Yeah. He knew Montana. He knew what, but like I said, they ran out of gas. It was up to whoever picked them up, and they were lucky they got picked up. So
yeah,
nobody knew they were gone until it was time to wake up in the morning and do a head count.
When they did this, did they change because the uniform kind of sticks out, so they got hella lucky.
We didn't have uniforms when I was in the program.
Oh, okay.
So I was there. I was there before. Yeah, everybody came with what they came with. So whatever type of style you wore at home, you wore there. Obviously, I'm from Southern California where it doesn't snow. So when it came wintertime, my parents packed me, bought me a bunch of winter type clothes. But yeah, we had 3 baskets. We were allowed to wear our own style clothing, unless it was like you couldn't like represent like alcohol or things like that. They just, but you could wear Converse if you were to wear Converse, or Reeboks. You can wear whatever you want, shirt, clothes. You just can't wear like hats and stuff like that unless you're upper levels. But yeah, I don't know when. I think about 6 months, maybe a year after I left, they allowed you to wear. Was when they made uniforms. They were talking about uniforms when I was there, but it never happened.
Okay. So, well, I was gonna ask you, anything else about the runners that you heard about? Like, besides that, that's kind of an epic story, but
no, I mean, no, they got away. And there was a few other people that ran while I was there in Spring Creek Lodge, but they didn't get far. Once they got out on the ATVs, and junior staff was looking for them, and they had dogs out, nobody got really too far. I mean, there's always stories like there's, like this guy named Noah Silva, who, rest in peace. He also has passed away since the program. And unfortunately, that's just a fact. There's a lot of people, a lot of us that haven't made it, unfortunately, whether it was due to the program or personal issues, but there's a lot of us that went through a lot of issues after, and a lot of us have passed away. But he actually was one of those Hobbit guys I was telling. He was sent to high impact too. He was in high impact for like 8 months or something like that, 9 months, which is like unheard of for high impact. That he was one of those Hobbit guys that locked himself in the porta potty, and eventually they just knocked the porta potty over while he was in it.
Oh, dude, I heard about that. There was somebody on the podcast that was talking about that story, I think.
Yeah, that was Noah Silva that happened to. He eventually got sent to high impact. But yeah, so there's a lot of like weird story, like I could talk about the time that there's the times where they made people jump into the water, into that little watering hole, or our family got the log treatment where we had to hold the log. I don't know if they ever did.
Talk about that. I don't think anybody's talked about that one yet.
Yeah, so when our family kept on like getting in trouble for, I don't even remember what, just not doing well. We weren't being like a team or a family or whatever. So they had this big, huge log. I mean, you're talking the length of the room.
Like a tree.
Yeah, like a tree. Like the length of the whole room of the cabin. And we were not allowed to let it touch the floor the entire time we had it. And we had it for like, I think it was like 5 days or something like that. I mean, we're talking at nighttime, we selected 5 of us, every couple hours to sleep under it and keep it up, or we couldn't really sleep. But we weren't allowed to let it touch the ground, or we had to start a time over. And so we'd go to school, and 5 of us would sit out on chairs with it on our laps while the others were in class, and we'd switch off. But we had to carry that with us everywhere we went. Never put it down. Yeah, so that was interesting. But we did it, and we didn't even really complain about it. Trying to think, I should have took down notes before I did this, because I have a lot of some pretty crazy stories of it.
It's all good, man. We can always do a part 2 too. Okay, if you want to write some stuff down, we can do a part 2.
The thing that always amazed me was how so many of these kids, or so many of our friends, were just pretty easily brainwashed into like, once you became an upper level, what'd you call them again? Junior staff. Yeah, junior staff. How some of these junior staff were just so okay with giving you consequences and not really caring what it does to you. Like my homies that I grew up with, all through middle school and even in high school, Jeremy and Ed, I love them. We're still good friends to this day. Love you guys if you ever watch this. But they even know. In fact, I slipped because Quest family and Courage family shared a classroom just at different times. And, you hung your coats up on one side and then the other side. And I wrote a note to Jeremy and put it in his coat pocket. And then he ended up getting it and ratted me out. And I got dropped from level 3. I was also almost level 3 all-star because I wrote a note to him. And I was like, why would you even tell on me? Just, write me a note back and say, don't write any more notes. I don't want to get in trouble. Like, you're trying to like get points or something like that. He must have been voting up soon and wanted to get some points for that. But yeah, he threw me under the bus. Eventually he got like level 4 not long after that. But it's just crazy to me because I would have never been able to be a level 4 or a junior staff, because I don't care enough about giving people consequences. Like if I caught you looking the other way, I'm just gonna give you a look like, hey, at least make sure nobody else is seeing you do it. Like if you're gonna if you're gonna take more food than you're supposed to, or certain things like that. It's like I just don't get how these people become, how people ended up getting like that. But I get it. Like, they want to graduate the program and they're going to do what they have to do to graduate the program. like I said, I always thought my parents were going to pull me, so I didn't really care. And if they weren't going to pull me, I was going to sit there till I turned 18 and walk down the road with my fingers in the air, you know?
Yep.
So,
All right.
so now this is where high impact comes in. So, so now high impact, man. So didn't really hear too many stories about high impact. You always heard about Tranquility Bay. You heard about Samoa before it was shut down. A couple of my friends that were with me in Spring Creek Lodge were in both of those places. You heard it's bad, you know, but even then, even they said that high impact was where you went when you were bad at Tranquility Bay or Samoa. If you were bad at those places, they sent you to high impact. So that tells you how on the level of what's the worst of the worst. Even like anybody I know that went to those two other ones, Samoa and Jamaica, they said that they would have rather been there than go to high impact. I mean, yeah, it's different because it's more short term at high impact. But either way, so one night I get woken up by a family father who I liked a lot. His name was Jim. He worked for Honor Family, who was my brother. My brother was in Honor Family at the time. He came in and he says, "Hey Tyson, let's go get your stuff. You're going home." And I was like, "I knew it, freaking knew it, bro." And went around to all my best friends in there. We had already like exchanged in the Bibles that we had. We had like secret codes with our phone numbers, you know, and stuff. So when we got out, we could hit each other up. Get down to the trailer, and sitting in the trailer is a kid named Kenneth and another kid named Chris. Friends with Kenneth via Facebook still, but once I got in there, because they were troublemakers at the time in the facility. Once I got in there, I saw them there. I'm like, I'm not going home, am I? And they're like, no, unfortunately, you know, Mr. Dave's like, was Mr. Dave there when you were there?
The sniper dude, the fucking older dude, super serious.
Yeah.
Can catch Cat 3 from across the facility.
Yeah, the guy said, you know, bumping your guns, making the wrong choice. Yeah. So he was in there. We were always cool and stuff, but it's like, unfortunately, I'm really sorry, but you're going to high impact. And that staff there that were nice and cool, they knew what high impact was, and they felt for me. You could tell that they knew what I was going to be into. But either way, so they cuffed me. I say, "How are we getting there?" And they drove us, the three of us, two transporters drove the three of us.
This is in Mexico, right?
Yeah, they drove us from Montana to Mexico. So they drove us. In fact, the way we went, we passed the exit to my house in Southern California.
Oh, wow.
We stopped to get gas there, and I wanted to run so bad, but I was in handcuffs. You know, there was nothing I could do. So we drive there. We stop one night at a rest stop. We sleep in the car. They let us smoke cigarettes. They got us fast food. The transporters, once again, they know where they're taking us, so they're like trying to be as cool as possible, knowing that they're about to drop us off in a foreign land, which we didn't even have passports or anything, so it's pretty crazy. But they drop us. So we get there. We cross the border. As soon as we cross the border, they blindfold us. So we don't know where we're going. So if we try to escape, we don't know where to run. But either way, it's like an hour.
Sensory deprivation.
Yeah. So either way, we were still an hour away from getting there once we crossed the border. At least that's what I recall. It's up in the mountains. I'm sure you've seen pictures of it online. If you look up high impact T.T.I, Mexico, you'll see pictures of it. It's pretty intense. But you get there and you pull up, and basically it's just like two fences. You know, fences are maybe 15, 18 feet tall. In the truck, somebody comes out and opens the fences up. They pull the truck in there. They drop us off. They back up the truck, and then there's another set of fences, and there's like double fenced. So if you jump one fence, you got to jump another fence. But you get in there, and there's two sides. And it's just divided by a fence that has tarp on it. The girl side and the boy side, and each has one big concrete slab that's kind of at a slant, and a big green army tent on each one of those. And that's where all 20 of us slept on the floor. We slept on concrete slabs with basically like a bamboo mat. So we basically slept. It was worse than the Hobbit, but and they had like a little mini like fireplace burner in the middle of it. You know, it's a professional one that's like has a pipe that goes up and out of the tent. But it's the only way to keep the place warm, because Mexico gets freezing cold in the winter. It may not snow, but there's frost on the ground when you come out in the morning.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, what time of year was it when you went there?
I was there about a year after I was sent to Montana. So I missed Thanksgiving at Spring Creek Lodge. So I was in Mexico during during Thanksgiving. So I must have been sent there sometime in November.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, the times I
So
don't
was
remember.
it cold? Was it cold? I guess what I'm trying to ask was it?
It was really hot during the days and cold at night. Like it could go from 105 degrees during the day to like 30 degrees lower at night. You'd wake up with frost on the ground. And there was just, it's a boot camp. I mean, literally, you get one bottle of water when you get there. That's the same bottle you use the entire time you're there. And that thing gets moldy and disgusting. You have to clean it out with sand and rocks and water and shake it up and get all the mold out. And when I got there was no toilets. We pissed and shit in buckets. We eventually built a system there where they had toilets. Our showers were a hose, like they came out over a wall with cold water, which you only had a minute to shower anyways. All of our heads were buzzed. The food, breakfast every morning was oats with water. I don't call it oatmeal, it was more like water with oats. They just had a big barrel of oats that we ate out of. And the way they fed you there was like, the more you wanted to eat, the less they'd give you. The less you want to eat, the more they give you. For example, there was like a 13-year-old kid that had just got there when I was not too far long there. I wasn't there too long, but he's 13 years old and he came from home. He didn't come from another program, so he had no idea what he was in for. And he gets there in the morning. He had McDonald's from the transporters got McDonald's, so he wasn't hungry. He's like, I don't want to eat, but you're not allowed to talk without permission, so he got in trouble for that. But they forced him to eat, so he was eating and eating, and he threw up his food. And you throw up there, they scoop it out of the dirt, and they put it back in your bowl, and you eat your throw up. So he kept on throwing it up because he couldn't eat. When you're going to throw up, keep on throwing up if you're eating your throw up. So eventually he got put in R&R, which was the dog cages out there. When you get put in the dog cages, it's just a fenced-in dog cage. You lay on your stomach with your chin in the ground, with your arms out, and the staff will come out there and mess with you and rub your chin into the dirt, which it turns into like a concrete underneath the dirt, so you get a big scab on your chin. But yeah, that's how they treated us. It was just Mexican staff that you could tell hated Americans. They thought we were just spoiled brat kids. Anyways, and then for lunch we'd get beans and rice, which everything we cooked there over like an open flame in like pots and stuff. And we had these little mini tin bowls that had a spoon that connected to the side, because when the food was in there, it was hot, you couldn't hold it with your hand, so they had like a spoon that connected. It's like old school camping type stuff, like Western times. And then rice and beans for dinner, and then we'd have chicken and rice for dinner every day. And the chicken would be undercooked. Sometimes you'd take a bite into the chicken and hit a vein, and blood would go everywhere. I mean, it was that undercooked, and that it was horrible. That was the meals there. There's never any kind of desserts or anything like that. But I could tell you, as crappy as it was sleeping under the conditions, I never slept better in my life than when I was in high impact Mexico, because you're so tired at the end of that day that you could sleep anywhere and you'll be out. Like you don't have time to think about, oh, I wish I was at home, or I wonder what my family's doing. You literally lay your head down on a concrete floor with no pillow, and you're out. I mean, you're done. I mean, the next thing you know, you're waking up in the morning, and I'm sure you heard you can't speak any English there. Everything you want to do, you have to raise your hand. They have to call on you, and then you have to ask it in Spanish. You can't even hit your face without permission.
What if? How many people there would you say didn't even know Spanish?
Nobody. There was
nobody.
I knew more Spanish than anybody else that was there, and that's only because I took 2 years of it in high school.
So if you just can't speak Spanish, then you're just pretty much screwed, huh?
Your first day, they have the person tell you the rules there, and you just kind of listen to other people and just follow suit,
Okay.
But before you enter the tent, you have to say "Puedo entrar, por favor," and then they say you can enter. You have to use the bathroom. Puedo usar el baño. You end up learning the small phrases you need to learn. They did like a head count every day before you went out and did the laps. And they say, you'd go down the line and go, uno, dos, tres. The person would go behind you. And then finally it's in, and they'd say, 20 cabezas at high impact. And they just basically said 20 heads. So they did a head count. And then you go off to running your laps or walking and whatever you want to do. But the only way to graduate the program is you had to run 2,000 laps, which when you get there, you're like 2,000 laps. It's the size of like a tennis court. I can run 2,000 laps around that thing in like 2 or 3 days. It's just gonna be easy. But you don't realize that every consequence you get, the minimum penalty is a 50. They take away 50 laps for the day. So like if you like scratch your face like you just did right there without permission, boom, 50 laps. If you can max run about 200 a day. So that would have taken away. If say you did run 200 that day, you're like, yeah, 200. I just got to do that 9 more times. But if you just scratch your face, you just lost 50 laps. And believe me, you get multiple consequences a day. But yeah, I actually graduated the program in record time. I graduated in 11 days, and they set me up. The staff there hated me. They set me up. One of the staff pretended like he liked me. He gave me an orange, one of their oranges that they get. And I ate the orange, and the other staff came and was like, "Where'd you get that orange?" And I was like, so I got in trouble.
That happened to me in Spring Creek. I had a similar situation. A nice staff fucking gave me a sandwich, and I ate it, and then I got a Cat 4 for it.
Yeah, so that's exactly what happened. So I got dropped all the way back down, had to start over. And at that time, I was just defeated mentally. But it was not long after that, like maybe 30 days or so, 35 days after that is when the U.S. Embassy flew in and shut it down. But yeah,
Were you there when that happened?
What's that?
Were you there when that happened?
Yeah, I was there when that happened. I was there when they shut down. That's the only reason I got to go home.
Okay. What happened that day?
A helicopter flew in. We didn't know what it was about, what was going on. And then they came in. They found out where each of us were from, whether we were from home or from another program. And then they sent us home with basically with nice escorts, not escorts that like they're hired escorts, but they were like real escorts, not ones for trouble.
Yeah.
Really. At least they were nice to us. I mean, I remember.
So they just came in right in there and got you.
Yeah, they came in. They're like, we're shutting this down. I remember Papa Miguel and Mama Ali were up in their trailer at the top of the hill. We weren't allowed to say anything to any of them. We just we were all so mentally defeated. It was like you see these videos of back in the day, the Jews in the concentration camps, where we just couldn't even really smile. We just didn't know what was going on.
Just broken.
Yeah, when I got back to Mexico, to Montana, my brother, who was still in Montana at Spring Creek Lodge at the time, he didn't even recognize me. I was emaciated, maybe weighed, if I was lucky, I weighed maybe 90 pounds. And I'm 6'1", and I was dark. You turn black out there. I'm Hispanic and Native American, so I just got super dark. But there was other kids other kids that were white there, and they would put them in the dog cages when they get in trouble, and they'd be on their stomach. Some of them would get blisters, no joke, on the back of their legs from laying there. They were like this big, like blisters that would fill up a water bottle of pus. And you can get diseases that way. It was ridiculous, the way they treated some of the people out there.
What's the craziest thing you've seen?
The craziest thing I saw was there was razor wire fences on the first layer of fence there, and there was a random, like a stray puppy, and one of the staff members, one of the Mexicans, picked up the puppy and threw him up on the razor wire and just let its stomach slit open, and it sat there crying and died. Craziest thing that happened to me there. I was gonna go ahead and tell it. So there's a couple things that happened. So when we were building the sewage to the place where we put the toilets in, me and a few other guys were allowed out back to dig the hole that the septic tank would go in. It's a big, huge hole. And we put the septic tank in there. And within the first week, it filled up with water, shit and piss, but mostly water. There was a leak. And so they had to let the water out and fix the leak. And so they had me go down and fix it. And there was just enough room on the side of the tank between the hole, and there's a thing you could twist and let it open so you can let the water out, like a jug type thing but a big one. And it wouldn't come undone no matter what we did. So they dropped down like a pickaxe, which is what we used to, because when you're been there for a little while, they put you to work and you have to go pickaxe bush all day. You just pickaxe brush and pile it up, and they light it on fire at night so they don't you know, I don't know why they had us do it. Just it sucked. Our hands were bloody, blistered, everything all day. I mean, the handles of the pickaxes were blood, basically covered in blood. But so they tossed it down to me and they said, break it open. And I hit it a few times and cracked all the way open, just busted open. And I was covered. I was basically drowning. I just had to swim out of it, and covered in piss and shit. And I came out and I was throwing up. I was super sick, almost immediately super sick. And they made me go back out and still work the rest of the day, without a shower or getting cleaned up or anything like that.
Did they give you water, anything?
They gave me water to drink. We had water out there to drink because I had my water bottle, but they let me fill it up and drink it. Yeah, so I had to go back to work the rest of the day that day. And then eventually when we got back at night, they were nice enough. They let me, while I was still out there, they had heated up what we eat out is like the big cauldron that they filled with water, put over open fire. They had heated that up with water. So I got to take like a washcloth bath with warm water, which was very nice out there. You don't get that crap out there. So, but they also didn't want me to die from, E. coli or some crap. But the worst things that happened there, which probably, I don't know how many people it happened to. I can only speak for myself. But Papa Miguel was a pedophile, a pretty bad one. And they had a trailer at the top of the hill. And one night he just tried to make it look like he felt bad for what had happened to me and the water situation. And he said, hey, you know what? You've been so good. I want you to come up to my trailer and you can watch a movie and eat some popcorn. Like kind of like when you were
grooming behavior.
Yeah. And I went up there thinking, okay, I'm going to get some real food and I'm going to watch a movie. So we went up there and he did put on a movie. He put on Gladiator. It was in Spanish, but there was subtitles. And that's when he made his move on me, sexually. And I'm not going to go any further than that. But
yeah. You don't have to, man. It
was, I don't know how many other people went through that. It's really hard to bring up and talk to other people about it, but I guarantee it happened to not only me, but a lot of other boys, but also girls there. So it's, that was the worst part about being there. Cause those are things as you leave there that you don't ever talk about. I didn't go back to Montana and tell them, this is what happened to me in a trailer up there. I tell them about everything else that happened there, but that's just, I've talked to therapists about it, and it's just really hard to talk about that kind of crap. So, you kind of understand now what other people that have been in that situation, not in those programs, but anybody who's been molested or been raped or anything like that. It's, I definitely feel for those people.
Well, yeah, I was raped when I was 7, so I definitely feel for you, man.
Yeah. So especially at that age, I mean, yeah. And I just, I fought it for a lot of years. I was like, dude, why? I could have fought back. I was 17, but you're so scared. You're so scared that, like, honestly, he could kill me here.
He could have killed you.
And he'd get away with it because he'd say he ran away and he had a weapon. He came at me with a pickaxe and I had to take him down. There's no.
Plus, you're not even in the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
So
out there. That's also why nobody ran from the program there, because it wouldn't have been that hard to get over that fence, to be honest. But they threaten you so much that the cartel works for them in that area.
Course.
They pay for the cartel. So if you get out, you're luckier with us than you are with them.
You're pretty much headhunting.
Yeah.
Headhunting.
Exactly. So you're just like, okay, well, I'll just graduate. Then I'm not gonna, So I did my best at putting my head down and graduate. Like I said, I did it in 11 days, but then I was defeated and when they pulled that move on me. But yeah, high impact is definitely. I can tell you this: as much as I hated Spring Creek Lodge and always will, I mean, I can't tell you for how many years afterwards I thought about going to become a sniper and go sit up in the mountains and just cap all the staff members from far away up there. Blow up that big propane tank that's outside the Hungry Horse. But I can tell you, I had never been happier to be somewhere when I got back to Montana. As much as I wanted to go home, I was totally content with being back in Montana after high impact. Workouts weren't anything for me. Getting up wasn't anything for me. The food was amazing, which I know it isn't, but compare it when you go from that to that, it's just, it's crazy. But yeah,
that's how I felt when I went to most recently, because I'm 11 months sober, but most recent time I went to rehab. That's how I felt when I was in rehab. I was like, you motherfuckers don't even know. When I was in Spring Creek, this shit is a fucking.
That's like how it is when I haven't been to jail in a long time, but my early 20s, I was in and out of jail. Longest I ever did was like 8 or 9 months, as 9 months. And it's like, are you kidding me? This is like a dream, you know. You get a place to sleep, a comfort mattress, a pillow, you get commissary, you get 3 meals a day. Like, this is like ridiculous, dude. Like, you get to play games when you're not in your cell. Like, but yeah, it's an eye opener when people complain about certain things, and I'm just like, oh man, you have no idea. But that's one of the main reasons I did this podcast with you, is because I hope the word gets out there more. And I just want people to know this is still going on today. I mean, we may not know the names of these programs anymore. They change them all the time, but it's just too big of a moneymaker. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. They make so much money. And I hope there's parents watching this who are thinking about sending their kids there, and they decide against it, or if they ever have questions, they reach out to you. I got one of my friends, a girlfriend of mine, I got her younger brother pulled from the program when I was out of the program. He got sent there, and I ended up reaching out to his dad, telling him all about it, and he ended up getting pulled. After I talked to his dad, I felt really good about that. And
there you go.
Honest, I'm hoping to be honest, one day that they reach out to all of us, or reach out to you, and then you contact a few of us and they're like, hey, you know what? We really think you got something going here. We want to make a movie, you know, whether it's a documentary or like a feature film. I could tell you right now, anytime I tell my story to anybody, they're like, holy shit, are you kidding me? If they made a legit good movie of like, basically like, if they told my story, like everything I just told, but, you know, made it into a movie, it's a movie that people will be on the edge of their seat the entire time. There'll be tears in it eventually. There'll be cheer. There'll be all kinds of crap. You'll hit all the emotions, but it would put the word out there so much. It would put these WASP programs on blast, and the other ones that aren't affiliated with WASP. But that's my main goal. If I could tell you right now, you know, out there, you know, there's that whole Paris Hilton thing. What's it called? Breaking Code Silence or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I was as rich as Paris Hilton, like I'd be doing more than what she's doing, you know, like she has the money to fund a film like that if she wanted to.
Yeah, she should get together with me.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Get this shit done.
Or, you know, just I appreciate everything she's trying to do, but there's so much more that could be done. If I even had just $1 million, I'd put it all into fixing this problem. Not to mention the revenue from that film would give us enough money to shut these fuckers down.
For sure, man.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, that was is there anything else you want to add to your story?
I don't. I just hope that if anybody is watching this, that if they share it with other people. So, I mean, not only share it with people that they're trying to get people out of the program or get parents to not send their kids to the program, but even other friends of mine or people that have been in the program. Like I can tell you right now, it's therapeutic. It's to talk about it and deal with it. And a lot of us just shut it out, you know, because it happened so long ago. You have to think, like, I'm now 38 years old. I got out of that program 20 fucking years ago, and I still have nightmares, mostly from Mexico, but I still have things that get to me, you know. And I just know that other people are dealing with it. And I think that if there was a, you know, a community like what you're trying to create, and there is online, you know, I'm part of Facebook, you know, survivor groups and stuff like that. And I have a lot of friends I was in the program with there. In fact, we have told funny jokes all the time about, you know, being at the Hungry Horse, and work in the kitchen was the best on Sundays, you know, because you got good food, and then you got to watch your movies later on at night in the classrooms when everybody else was like in the cabins going to bed.
Yeah.
I'll bring all the no-bake cookies you want with you.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. You know, and I also want to say, not everybody in the program, not all staff was bad. You know, there was always people like Miss Gloria, Miss Kathy. Mr. Dave was a hard ass at sometimes, but he was always cool with me.
Yeah.
Jim, the family father. Darcy, I didn't like her while she was in the program, but she's repented after the program. She was a family leader, a female family leader. John Riddle, my family representative's wife at the time. Like I said, he's in prison now. But we've talked after, and she's apologized, and she's done her best to, like, you know, repent for the crap that went on there. She never like abused anybody, but when you're a family representative and you're not being completely upfront and honest with the parents about what's going on there, and you're keeping their kids from them, there's better ways to go about it.
Yeah, it's not right either, you know.
No, but she's the only staff I talked to is actually was like, I really regret the stuff that I did out there. And, you know, bottom line is, it was a small town with a bunch of people that needed work and needed jobs, and there wasn't you go. It's like you work at the gas station, you work at the local school, or you work at Spring Creek Lodge, and that's your option. So I mean, most of them, as far as I was concerned, didn't have any kind of degree. They had no specialty certificates. They were not, I mean, even though there were therapists at the program, they weren't licensed therapists.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm a type 1 diabetic now. If I had been a type 1 diabetic back then, I wouldn't even been allowed to be there, because I would have died most likely, because they wouldn't have anything. They wouldn't have been able to take care of me with my insulin that I have to take, and I would have to take shots in my fingers all the time, and I would have to have needles. I don't. As far as I know, there was not one type 1 diabetic in that program when I was there. But
I can't remember any.
Yeah, no, they had people that had, took meds and stuff like that, but I think that if they probably screened you before you went there, and if you had type 1 diabetes, you couldn't go.
Nothing that like where you need that much, that much, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or you're gonna die. Like if I go a week without my insulin, it's pretty much I'm dead. So
yeah.
And who knows what would happen out there? They would have put me in the Hobbit. I would have claimed that I'm sick and I don't feel good, and the next thing you know, I'm not waking up. And
yeah.
In fact, that happened to my cellmate in jail. When I was we were both in booking, and he was complaining. I'm a type 1 diabetic. They didn't come get him. 24 hours later, he was dead. And yeah, they got a big lawsuit. But anyways, yeah, I really appreciate you doing this, man. I'm really surprised that this is like one of the first ones I've seen. I feel like I've never talked about it before, because first of all, I'm a very shy person. I'm not a big public speaker. I could never go up on stage in front of a bunch of people and speak, unless I was like drunk.
Yeah.
Which after the program, became a really bad alcoholic. Never really into drugs, but I became a really bad alcoholic. I blacked out every night for at least a decade. I'm talking, half a handle of vodka every single night. Maybe that's, it's just to not think about shit, and also help me just go to sleep. But then I had a kid 9 years ago. He's the best thing that ever happened to me. His mom's not with us anymore. Unfortunately, she had a drug problem and left.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I feel bad for him, but him and I have been together now 6 years, alone, just him and I I couldn't be happier. I live in Arizona now. My brother lives 10 minutes from me with his family, his wife, and his kids. So, in fact, my son's over there right now, but he's a good support system for me. My parents still live in Southern California. I'm totally on good terms with them now, best I've ever been, and have been for a while. I don't blame them for sending me the program. My mom still will cry about it and apologize. My dad's kind of a little more tougher. He's like, look, I made a mistake. I should have looked into it more. Especially considering those schools were not accredited when it came to schooling, to education.
Yeah.
I left there. If I would have stayed there an extra week, I would have had a diploma from there, which their diplomas don't mean anything. But I left there and wanted to roll back in high school, because there was like a month left of school. I could have walked with my class that I hadn't seen in almost 2 years. But my credits didn't equal. I was still a sophomore according to them, because their credits didn't count. So I ended up not even being able to graduate with my class. I had to get a high school equivalency thing, but yeah. So anyways, that's the gist of my story. And I'm sure later on I'm going to look back and think, oh, I forgot about this story. I forgot about that story. But you said there could always be a part 2. But I really hope, I don't know how you're pushing this out there, who you're getting this out to, how you're getting this out to people, what platforms you're using.
I'm using Amazon, or I'm using almost all of the podcast platforms. I'm using YouTube. I'm using
Well, where are you sharing them? Are you on Facebook? Are you part of like the survivors?
Yeah, I'm part of like 10 different survivors groups. Like I posted all of it there.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Because that's where we're going to get the most traction, I think, is within those survivor groups. Because they'll share it with other people, and most of them will want to probably do interviews with you, because there's other people there that went through similar but different experiences. There's so many stories that could be told.
Yeah, for sure, man. And knowing is half the battle, man.
Yeah. But for sure. That's really all I have for my interview here.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing your story, man. You've been through a lot. That was a crazy story, man, and I'm really glad that you got it off your chest. Once again, this is a Straight Outta BS podcast. If anybody wants to be interviewed, reach out to me at straightouttabspodcast@gmail.com. This video will be up shortly, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, man. Peace.
Yep.
Good luck, everybody.